and welcome to Cape Town. Main Road in Newlands is awash with athletes who put in the preparation and are ready to take on this challenge of the most beautiful of ultra marathons, the Total Sports Two Oceans Marathon, about to get underway. The 54th edition of this glorious race, which started out as a preparation event for the Comrades Marathon in 1970. There we are, as we have close on 15,000 athletes preparing to take on this beautiful journey around the Cape Peninsula. Absolutely perfect conditions as we speak right now for these athletes, maybe even a little bit warm at this time of the morning. What's the body like?
It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be calling one of the most iconic ultra marathons anywhere in the globe. And once a decade, we've had perfect weather. Today is the day to run hard, to run fast, and to write your name into history. There are some of the men, perhaps lesser known. There is Bomo Musamtepu, who knows the feeling of winning. Givmo Mudziganyama knows the feeling of winning. But we could have a new champion today in the men's race, in the women's race. We've heard her name. Can anyone challenge Hannah Stain is the question that will be asked. And the only one possibly who has the answer to that question is Yvette van Zyl, who is looking to deliver a performance with her children here for the first time to watch her at the finish line. And I think that will give her motivation to get through.
Multiple clocks throughout this journey. So 20 seconds to the start. Tension building for these runners at the front, nerves all the way down the main road in Newlands. Carla Molinaro, relaxed, smiling, has nerves. The cannon blasts and away they go in the 54th edition of the Total Sports Two Oceans Marathon as they charge down Main Road, 56 kilometers in the most beautiful of ultra marathons. It's underway here, and there are so many runners here looking to run their fastest, run their best, produce their finest performances, reward themselves after all that training, and thousands more will follow those elites down this road.
It's a batch start, so those 15,000-ish runners will start in various batches right now, 5:15 at Main Road in Newlands, and that line of starters will go all the way back down towards SAB, the South African breweries, and some will start as late as half an hour after the lead field got going. It all is a moment still to soak in the energy on that start line. It is electric and something to savor. There's nothing quite like standing on the start line of one of the big marathons around the world. And at this time of the morning, with your body full of energy, your spirit still ready to tackle the journey, it is one of the most special moments you can. And whilst they're on the start line getting ready to go, these men already have run about 200, 300 meters, and they are well on their way, as expected, as ever, a camera runner.
Absolutely, you want to get yourself out there, that energy, that adrenaline's been pumping, and the gun goes. You've got the chance, you've got the fire, and you just run and get out in front, and that's exactly what has happened here. It's a brightly lit street through the Newlands suburbs. It will get a bit darker down further down Main Road as they head down here, but for the time being they're in the spotlight as the waves of runners start behind them, and they will, as also Boydie said, keep going for some time before the start line is completely empty.
So this is telling early moves. The man who leads the races, the man affectionately known from the Eastern Cape as Mr. Magic, Olisa Nzumbini, but on the far right is Stephen Mukoka. Now watch this. The first 21 kilometers of the Two Oceans Ultra Marathon are fast and furious. Stephen Mukoka is the national record holder for the half marathon distance, having dipped under 1 hour. So if he takes them through the 21 kilometer point in 63 minutes, that would be well comfortable for him. And not many will be able to live with that frighteningly quick pace. We usually see a television runner, as we call him, a Mr. Magic, a Mr. Kuzumbini, running alone at least for the first 20 odd kilometers. But this is a telling move that the TV runner hasn't even run 1 kilometer, and Stephen Mokoka, Osbona Msakwana on his right, are there with him. This is a strong sign from the Hollywood Athletics Club men that we could see a very, very fast race today in excellent conditions for ultramarathon running.
Well, Stephen Mokoka, who didn't finish last year in one of the stories of last year's event, just barely 3 kilometers from the finish, he decided not to cross the finish line. He's gone away, taken the lessons learned from last year, and come in 2025 with a very different approach and a bold approach very, very early on here. On the right-hand side, of course, the volunteer Wi-Fi services, people have moved the tape away, and more runners about to set off on their journey behind Stephen Mokoka and the rest of the elites.
Koskona Msakwana has also produced a pretty good half marathon. And ran just a fortnight ago at the Harringwala half marathon. And they ran a very good time there, running inside 65 minutes. And we have the famous skipper runner. There she is, just disappearing behind Mokoka. She skips all the way through the race. It will take some effort to skip 56 kilometers. She's fine and fit. And more runners get over the start line. So this strategy perhaps could be the retelling of a story that was told about 15 years ago when Hendrik Ramala, one of the fastest marathoners on paper, he was a 206 marathon man at the time, came and ran this ultramarathon. Like Mokoka, the ultramarathon specialists told him that he didn't understand ultras. He went out hard and ended up finishing second. They caught him late just before the finish. But this is the women's race. This is the one we came to see. And the question is there anyone around the smiling assassin here this morning? It's Shonik Miruki, now running in the colors of the Ntsiga, the Kenyan. She runs a lot of 50 kilometers and finished inside the top 3 at the city-to-city marathon last year. We remember her running well in the Nedbank Runner 5 and has finished inside the top 3 here at Two Ocean as well. Shonik Miruki was formerly from Nedbank, now running for Ntsiga. Is there anyone else? Where is Yvette van Sale? Many will be asking. And there's Yvette.
Just behind her, and there is the battle that we are so anticipating today. It's a war of attrition, a battle of wits over the next 56 kilometers. And the big question is, who is going to have the better of Gerda-Steyn, if anyone? And lots of the money, alternate money, is on Yvette van Sale to do it today, but she'll have to run her best ever.
She will, she certainly will. And don't discount Neheng Khatala, they're just behind. There you see her peering into the light from the Mountain Kingdom. She won the Soweto Marathon last year. And in terms of all of these athletes that have been assembled here, the female athletes, Neheng is the fastest 10-kilometer athlete on paper, having just run a 32:01 is the national record holder for 10 kilometers for Lesotho, and she is there. But Yvette van Sale, there you see 3:29:30. That was an epic race in 2022 where both she and Gerda finished inside first by the Marcus record. So, purple in the women's race, purple in the men's race, and they'll be watching Obab Shandu and the rest of them liking what they see here. The Hollywood Athletics Club in the early stages of this race are looking good, but that word is the key word, early, still very, very early.
Yeah, it's not the first time we've seen Stephen Mokoka look over his shoulder. What are the contenders behind him? And there are 5 previous winners in this field. Yes, some of them can be discounted, but they're talking now, they're smiling. What are the others thinking of this tactic, and how are they going to react to this?
That's the question that you must ask. We spoke to Lloyd Bosman at the press conference yesterday and asked him, what will you do? Lloyd Bosman, who came second last year running in the green of the Nedbank Running Club, said patience. Patience before Constantia Neb. But he also said you have to watch who leaves. And if it's Mokoka, they will be wary. And Msakwane, remember, he's finished second and third in this race as Msakwane. So if it was someone else, they might say, let them go. But this will worry them, and they won't want them to allow this lead to grow too much. There it is, 3:09:07, and that was a sprint finish against Edendale Belachu of Ethiopia. So they won't like these two going out early. If it was someone else, they would say, okay, fine. But with these two, it will make the chasing bunch a little bit more nervous, and it will mean that we could see quite a fast race here today.
So early in the race. Seldom have we seen serious contenders do this as early in the Total Sports 2 Oceans Marathon. They are just being held up the road. They're not increasing, just keeping that steady pace and making sure they stay ahead of that bunch behind, in which there are all the other contenders, all those who hold hopes of joining 44 athletes who won this title before the men's race, of which 5 are running today. So this is something extraordinary to see Stephen Mokoka go out there at the age of 40. He ran that Pretoria Marathon earlier this year, more as a training run?
More as a training run. It was an impressive training run because that's where you see him starting to understand the ultra-marathon distance. Now that Baldwin Sport Pretoria Marathon is notoriously tough. You go over Klapperkop and you go over twice when you're running 42 because it's a double lapper, 2 laps of 21 kilometers. And he ran much of that race alongside his childhood friend, a man with whom he's quite close, Edward Mutivi. Enda Mutivi, the Comrades Marathon champion from back in 2019, 4-time gold medalist there. And he says he learned a lot from Slender. Slender said, don't rush the hills. Take it easy when you climb. And he feels that those were some of the mistakes he made last year. He's learned about that this year, and he's hoping to deliver a much improved performance. Dropping out around the 53-kilometer mark last year, he looks more determined to deliver this year.
Well, this is the drama that is unfolding as we now are with Gerda Steyn already just tapping out a steady rhythm with a posse of runners who will run for as long as they can alongside her. Now let's go back to the start, and archival is chatting to one of the esteemed guests.
Yeah, as the runners continue to stream along past the start, Councillor JP, you must be happy to see so many people coming down to Cape Town.
Yes, this is a beautiful event. We have over 30,000 runners over the 2 days, 15,000 today, 17,000 tomorrow, over 4,500 international runners. That's really amazing. This event creating about 4,000 jobs in our city, and it's one of the big 8, you know. Between the top 8 events in the city, they generate around 4.5 billion rand to our economy. So we appreciate the event, not just for what they do for our economy, but the gees and the amazing social cohesion that these generate.
What does it take to put something like this together? Because for you guys, you obviously have to be involved from the start and make sure everything goes down smoothly.
A momentous amount of logistics. So we have a very good events department. We have amazing events organizers. And we have a good system now for working with each other. Our job is to make sure that the event organizers has as few obstacles as possible and that the event is safe. So safety is paramount. We pride ourselves on having incident-free events. If your events start being marred by incidents and crime and so forth, then these events are not successful. So our job is to support the events organizer with lining the events with safety personnel, our traffic services, our metro police and law enforcement services, emergency staff, and that part of it we take very seriously. And for the rest of it, they just do an amazing event.
Wow, Councillor JP, well done to you and your team for the wonderful work you do. International runners from across the world coming down to Cape Town, and of course, everyone as well from the length and breadth of South Africa.
It is a magical weekend. It's an absolute feast of road running, and the Total Sports 2 Oceans Marathon has become an iconic South African endurance event. We do love them here, and we do love the way thousands and thousands take the time and commitment and sacrifice to prepare themselves to run this event, and few do it better than the young women. This group there is tucked in here with a whole possible sort of those vets and master strong runners will try and stay with her. Fair stay in the new Hollywood Athletics Club colours. Wonderful to see her back in a race that she says made her name in 2018 when she won it for the first time and hasn't lost it since. Every year she's come back and looking for a 6th title this year. Now it's purple on the front as well. The Hollywood team en masse on the front of the men's race.
No surprises here in terms of the man that has just joined Stephen Mokoka and Nkoskona Mhlakwana. That's Lindelani Mdwaga, a much improved athlete, a man who broke the 320 mark at Kaapsehoek, running a PB, ending up on the podium at the Kaapsehoek Marathon and Nelspruit at the end of last year. And he has come out here with the intention of running what we call a late gold. And that late gold being in position 6, 7 or 8, and now they are joined by Mr. Magic Ndlumbini from Eastern Province Athletics, and he now comes up with them. And what this has done is that it's drawn some of the other athletes out of that bunch a little bit earlier than they would have liked to, because it is Stephen Mokoka, it is Nkoskona Mhlakwana who's got 2 podium finishes that are out there in the front. It's not just anyone, and it means that we could see a much faster race than many athletes had been anticipating, especially this early in the race.
Well, wonderful, real drama. It is such a beautiful drama that unfolds over 3 hours here in the men's race, 3.5, and the women a bit more. Really interesting to see how these runners approach this. Everyone has a plan, everyone has a tactic, and some of them as a team, some of them as individuals, and trying not to get drawn into each other's plans and each other's tactics.
And there they are, they've come out of that bunch. There's Flavio Suhusa, he was 11th last year, running for the Pan-African team, which is coached by John Hamlet. Gibmo Muziganyama, winner in 2023, podium finisher last year, 3rd. He's also come out. So what Mokoka has done by going out early with Nkoskona Mhlakwana, he has made them run early. And especially with the Two Oceans runners, they don't like to run before Constantianek. They want to relax. All of them, Konko, said, I will start running at Constantianek. And Mokoka here, who is more of a marathon specialist, the standard marathon, has done the right thing, I believe. As we see the great man, the legend Charles Gianni, now over 50, there he is on the left, still running strong and up with these leaders. So they are all there and they are watching this move of Stephen Mokoka. Pilani Moyo of Manoni is also there, who was running 50 kilometers, and they are all there. Let's see how these next few kilometers develop until the half marathon mark.
So already early drama in the pre-dawn race here at the Total Sports Two Oceans Marathon. You will stay with us for the next few hours and enjoy this drama as it unfolds. It is very definitely a race of 2 halves. Don't go too far away, because anything can and very often does happen here at the Two Oceans. Stephen Mokoka still chatting away at the front there to Mhlakwana, his teammate.
You run for something bigger than yourselves. Run your why.
In business, a rand saved is a rand earned, and almost 100,000 businesses trust Outsurance.
When I switched over to Outsurance, it was very simple and convenient. I used the savings to subsidize my solar installations.
By switching to Outsurance, we save 785 rand a month. It's an extra tank of fuel, it's extra reward money that we pay.
For these industries and more, call 08600 60,000 or SMS SAVE to 43882 for immediate cover.
167. 155.
147.
Heart rate 163.
You're almost 160.
Close. Okay, I'll make a drink for you.
I'm sticking
I was gonna put this guy to sleep, but then I got high. Ooh, I just wanted to walk the dog, but then I got high. I was gonna go to the club, I'm not gonna lie. Because I got high, baby, because I got high, yeah, because I got high. Because I got high, baby, because I got high, yeah, because I got high.
No matter why you go, just run. Run your why.
This is the Total Sports Two Oceans Marathon, and well, we saw him going up early on. It is Kolisa Lubini who's put himself out there early on, and we saw Stephen Makorka amongst those very early front runners, and this man was with him, and he's been left on his own to do his thing. The 42-year-old, five-time medalist here, 5 of those silvers, so he's looking to improve on that 3:26.16. Very, very early attack in the darkness in Cape Town on a perfect morning as the Total Sports Two Oceans Marathon gets underway. 3:16 pace. They were going at 16:17 through the first 5 kilometers. Sitting alongside me is a man who knows all about these things and is fascinated by how it's unfolding already, Bruce Fordyce.
Yes, Gerald. You know, this is a race of two contrasting halves, and the first half we're seeing exactly what happens. It's fast, flat, seductive, cool, perfect for fast running, and there's always someone who goes fast, but the second half is brutal, hilly, tough and grueling. And so I don't like to see runners doing this, you know, going out in front, especially a veteran in his 40s, going out in front and leading at that pace, because there is a long, long way to go and some huge hills in the second half.
Yeah, but we saw Stephen Makorka going out early on there, just maybe just putting his card in on the table and saying, I might not have finished last year, just take a note of me, I'm around this year.
He's a 2:6 marathon runner, that's the problem. So this pace will be very, very easy for him. It's whether he can take that pace and maintain it for the entire 56 Ks.
Well, this is boldness at its extreme early on here. On the flat, as you said, seductive, cooler conditions, very, very easy to just feel, I'm feeling good, let me go.
I'm feeling fantastic, let's just go, wow, I'm in the lead. I'm leading the Total Sports Two Oceans and I'm feeling great. But as I said, and I'm going to repeat it often, it's a race of two brutal halves. And here we have the route, you know, starting in Newlands, as I said, dark, cool, fast, Claremont, Kenilworth, all in the dark. So you're just running along feeling fantastic. Through 5Ks, you glance at your watch and you say, wow, that was quick, but I'm feeling fantastic. And you keep on going past the famous Two Oceans house, and then flat still, and you look to your right, you can see the sun rising over the mountains that you're going to run later, and then retreat and you start heading towards the smell of the ocean, the ozone, and you're getting up to Muizenberg at 15 Ks, Muizenberg Station. Now there are a few little rolling bumps, but nothing serious. Cork Bay, St. James, the ocean on your left-hand side, again, it's starting to get light, past Cork Bay Harbour, and then making your way towards Fishhook, and through Fishhook again flat, but at the end of Fishhook Circle, which is the first little climb that tells your hamstrings, oh, there's some big hills later on, and then the long sort of slow pull through Sun Valley towards the base of Chapman's Peak, the first really famous mountain in the Two Oceans. Chapman's Peak up Little Chapman's, which is 750 meters steep, that gives you a big shot, but then you drop down past the seconding table. Beautiful views of Noordhoek on your left-hand side. There's always a horse riding there, and then up proper Chapman's. About 4 kilometers of steep, steep climbing at the top, beautiful views, and then down from the highest point, all the way down, down, down to Hout Bay, and you have to flow down that descent like a river. You don't attack it because your quadricep muscles are going to get smashed. Hout Bay, thousands of spectators, 40K mark, and then you swing right and you start going up towards the base of Constantianek. I like to call this section graveyard, no man's land. A long climb up to Constantianek. When you hear the music, you're at the top, and everyone will tell you it's downhill and flat all the way to the finish. It is not. There are still 2 serious climbs to go up on your way down. There's a strange little kink that the organizers have thrown in just behind that banner that says Kirstenbosch Botanical Gardens, 200 meters, and then down past the gardens on your left-hand side, and now you can smell the finish. You're descending all the way down there, legs really, really sore, and then suddenly there's Chet's Hill, 3 Ks to go, Chet Sainsbury, named after him, and then you're suddenly into the last K, and there's a sign on the road that says UCT, it's painted there. When you see that UCT sign, you are through to the finish, and you get your medal after 56 wonderful kilometers.
Wonderfully taken through. Thanks very much, Bruce Fordyce, who knows this route as well as any, but has his son running his first Total Sports 2 Oceans Marathon today after 7 half marathons. So thanks, Bruce, for taking us through this journey. We will take you through it, through the legs and strength and eyes and bodies of these wonderful athletes. Principal Moncton at the moment, Olisa Lubini, who has put himself out there as an early mover in the Total Sports 2 Oceans Marathon. Too early by historic reference, looking at the way this race has approached over the many, many years, and as Bruce has so aptly described it, it is a race that really takes a turn in the second half, particularly for those big climbs. Chapman's Peak and of course Constantianek, and you heard Elena Concorbi say that is where his race starts. Constantianek, the climb over the neck, and that is where you feel that those contenders to take the title this year will come to the fore.
Well, this is precisely what we expected to see. When Mokoka and Mhlakwana led, the chasing bunch were uncomfortable with that. They all came out and enveloped them. Now that Olisan Bumbini, Mr. Magic, is leading, he's a 2:25 marathon analyst, they are happy to let him go. And what we've started to see is that if you want to win the Total Sports 2 Oceans Marathon, you need to be at least about, I would say the slowest is a 2:15 marathoner. Mkwaka's a 2:06 man, and we've had many 2:14 marathons. For example, Given Moment Ziganyama, who won in 2023, is a 2:14 marathoner. So they are quite comfortable to let Ndumbini go, but if any one of the contenders breaks out of that bunch, then they will chase. And so the key to seeing a fast race is who leads, not necessarily the gap of the leader, but who it is, because they size each other up. They will even watch each other's training as we go past 8 kilometers in 26:11. So it's a very fast start. I mean, it means that we will arrive at 10 kilometers in around about 32 minutes, maybe just under 33 minutes. So it's fairly good, and it means that the half marathon mark, maybe something around about 66, but we expect it to be a little bit faster as we approach the 21 kilometer mark. So now they are running the 3:09-ish pace that many have prepared for, but Nkumbini, they are happy to let him go as we glance at the women's race, where Kazma Stein continues to attract a large group of men because of her wonderful consistency. If you're targeting a sub 3:30 at 2 Oceans as a competitive man, or maybe an age group man, simply run with Kazma and you know she'll take you under 3 hours and 30. At this stage, she has one woman for company just behind her there, Shalmit Miriki, and those are the 5 kilometer splits. 17:07 for Kazma Stein for 5Ks. And I think it's still a bit early, but maybe, if things continue like this with that sort of split, we could see a new Total Sports 2 Oceans women's record once again. Because Kazma Stein, at her best, 3:26:54 was the course record that she set last year. At this pace, if things stay like this,
oh, that's early. But that is, you would not bet against 3:26:54. It wasn't long ago that Fada ran became the first woman to run a sub 3.5, and Yvette Pensale chased her to that title as well, also going 3:29.30. So Yvette Pensale is back in the bunch here. Shelma Maruki is tucked in, marking the state as best she can, right on her heels.
Let's give you an indication of how fast this early start is. Just chatting to Kieran Walker, who will join us in commentary soon. This is about a sub 3:20 pace here that Gert de Steen is operating, which means that she would smash the record by minutes and minutes and minutes and minutes. Talking here over 5 minutes, so that's over a kilometer faster than she's run last year. But it still is early. It won't be this pace the whole way, certainly. But most interesting, probably more interesting than Gert de Steen, is Shelma Maruki tucked in there behind her. And, I mean, predicted finishing time is 3:11. I'm not sure. Well, she would finish inside the top 10. Yes.
I tell you. Yeah, that would be quite phenomenal. But as we're talking about, and we've described with Bruce and yourself, Mosapodi, this is the, in inverted commas, the easy part of the race. It's cool, it's flat, it's when you're feeling strong, and the real meat of the race comes much later on the climbs, and that is where it'll all start unfolding in a far more dramatic manner. Right now, looking so comfortable.
Athlete there from the University of Limpopo in the all blue. They are coached by Ludwig Mamavolo, Comrades Marathon champion back in 2012, and they have managed to produce a few competitive age groupers, most notably Nema Maponya, who was the first over 50 at Comrades last year. So good to see that man there from the University of Limpopo running with a very strong bunch. As we have a look here at second place there, and it looks like it could be Mengestu of Ethiopia, or Meseret, yeah, correct, and she is a former winner of the Paris Marathon, and actually on paper she's the fastest standard marathon athlete in the field. She is a 2:23 athlete, and she has the marathon speed, but she's been brought in by Nick Vester to run for the Nedbank Running Club. But as you can be a fast marathoner, she is a debut athlete over 2 oceans. So she does not know the full extent of the punishing hills in the final half of this race. But this is a good watchful start from Ms. Heret. And let's see how close she can get to Gert de Steen over these next 50 kilometers.
As you went through 5 kilometers, 9 seconds behind Gert de Steen and Shelma Maruki, Meseret Biru, and Nkatana was also 11 seconds off there. Yvette Pensale also in the bunch at 11 seconds. So the major contender still there, but a debutante on the 56 kilometer total sports 2 oceans marathon, running this race for the first time. When you are looking to get in at the sharp end, is a very, very tough thing to do. You get drawn into all the good things that make you feel like you can run in that territory, but it comes back to bite you later on.
Precisely, and the 2 strong men they're running with Ms. Heret. We had Wayne Spies, who's the record holder for the over 50s at Comrades in the Nedbank strip, and next to him we had Masomola Sekhonyana, formerly of the Hollywood Athletics Club, and he's a gold medalist at Comrades. So strong men running with Ms. Heret, meaning that she's in good company and looking quite strong to challenge for a podium. As we head back to the leading man in the men's group, the question is, Xolisa Nkumbini, who leads here, how far ahead of the chasing bunch is he? Because those are what we call abanikazi be-race, the owners of the race, and they will be happy to let Mr. Magic go, and maybe they will start to worry if he still holds a commanding lead around the 35-kilometer mark. They would be interested, but the winner certainly is likely to come from here, and this is where they are. There is Pulanyana, a man who's improved quite a bit. Charles Giano, we've mentioned, maybe not a favorite to win, but at over 50 he could still come in with a 9 or 10. Dwaga is also there. We haven't mentioned, I think that is Suki Velem, is it? No, it's not. He's running style of the Black Diamond Athletic Club as they disappear for a moment into the darkness. So they are all there. Msakwana is there, and Mopenyana of the Max Elite Athletic Club. So all the main protagonists are here. And I think there's also Nadola of Nziga Athletic Club who finished inside the top 10 last year. So many gold medalists are in that chasing bunch, and one or two strong debutants. Certainly the winner should come from there, and that gives you an indication of a clock exactly synchronized with ours here on the World of Champions. So we are giving you second by second coverage of this 2025 Total Sports Two Oceans Marathon. And this is the Eurocar pace car, and that's the clock that you want to see if you want a gold medal. The moment you can't see that clock anymore, then you know you're in trouble. And in the early stages of the race, if you see that clock, you know that you are in good shape.
And right up there at the moment is our solo leader Ndlubini, and right on his, I mean, so far ahead. You see the lights in the background. That tells you how far away that chase bunch is. That does contain all those major contenders. So 15,000 plus runners taking to the roads of the Cape Peninsula on this glorious day. A day that, well, it suggests that the conditions at the moment are ideal. There was, as we were coming into our commentary position this morning, very early this morning, quite a strong breeze coming over the shoulder, Hospital Bend, that area. Very calm at the finish at this stage, but temperatures likely to rise very dramatically later in the day. And for those who are looking at 6-7 hour runs today, this could be a very tough day out.
It's an excellent point, because speaking to Gizmo Mudziganyama, who won this race in 2023, he said the first thing that he does when he lines up at the start of an ultra marathon is assess the weather conditions. And sometimes you have a plan to run 309 or 310, but it's a still and possibly hot day. You have to use the good conditions in the first half of the race. Remember, once you get to the top of Constantianek, where everyone has planned to run, it will be hot today. It will be quite hot, and you could be then not at your best, as we see Bongo Musa Mtembu, a 308 man there next to Tembiso Mkhele, coached by Tandeni Nene. There's Ruben Musiane as well of the Nedbank Running Club, a man who's in good shape, training alongside Dede Dijana and Edwards Endamotivi. He's looking to make a good impression in what is his debut, Ruben Musiane. But Bongo Musa Mtembu, 308, and that is his best, having run that in 2019, a winner of both Comrades and Two Oceans. A man who knows him quite well joins us in commentary now, Kieran Walker. Bongo Musa Mtembu, is he the Bongo Musa that was the Bongo Musa who won the race, or is he here just to watch and get a good strong training run before Comrades?
I think it's a bit of both, you know. Sigodi, Bongo Musa ran a really great Comrades last year after failing to be in the top 10 the previous year. But I'm also very excited to see what his younger brother does. And Tsamsanka Kumalo, he's a 2:15 marathon runner at his best. And what an idol to have in the form of your own brother, who's both a Two Oceans and Comrades winner.
And he has been quiet for these years. He has been quietly, almost hiding the brother, but telling us, say, I've got a young man that's coming up that training him up, and at the right time I shall release him into the ultramarathon running community. So let's see what the younger brother of Bongo Musa Mtembu can do here today.
Well, the man next to him in the colours of Max Elite with that 50 on his race number, don't be fooled by that. That is the correct age for that Charles Gianne, Two Oceans and Comrades gold medalist. A lot of the Comrades specialists out here, but we saw a very fast start where Nkosi Kona Mtlakwana and Stephen Mokoka went out there. So it was very interesting to see that going through that first K in 3:10. And speaking earlier to the fastest South African marathon runner in the year from 2024, Adam Lipschitz, who had a conversation last night with Mokoka, talking a little bit about tactics. And Mokoka actually said that last year he went too slow in the beginning, and he wanted to run faster. So it's a bit surprising to see him back in that bunch. But beautiful shots here of the leading men on the chase bunch on the left, and then Gladys Steyn in the company of Shelmuth Maruki, the Kenyan who is a former podium finisher here. The men not going too fast in the beginning, but the ladies going for that record.
Okay, because I'm going to have to do a battery change at the same time. Threatens to produce another record for yet another year. Last year, it was Loveness Madziba of the Hollywood Athletic Club who went out fast. In fact, he went ahead of Gerdestein and Yvette van Zyl. This time around, going a little bit more according to script. Gerdestein leads with Maruki for company, and we have Miss Heret in third, chasing these two.
And you can actually see there Meseret and the bunch that just about to join the Gerdestein bunch there on the right. She's running together with a Comrades Marathon gold medalist Joseph Maniedi, and as you mentioned earlier, Wayne Spies, who also at 50 years of age, a 5:41 Comrades, phenomenal running.
Precisely. So many of the Comrades stars are here, but this is Two Oceans, and talking to Gerdestein, she believes, and I agree with her, that Two Oceans is actually her sweet spot. That's why she can run record after record. It tends to be a race that favors the marathon specialist a little bit more, because the 56 kilometers is not too dissimilar. The training for that, in any case, is not too dissimilar from training for a 42. As we can see, Ms. Heret, you mentioning they're just joining them, Matomala Sekhonyana in front of her, and there's Joseph Maniedi. So three women all running together here, and this is developing into a race, perhaps not the three we would have thought. We would have expected to see Gerda, but we wouldn't have expected to see Shelmuth Maruki here without Yvette van Zyl. And Yvette van Zyl maybe playing a waiting game, waiting for the hills where she's so strong to mount an attack. So these three looking good, and once again, all eyes on Gerdestein with Ms. Heret of Ethiopia and Maruki of Kenya also there.
Well, Van Zyl went through the 5 kilometer mark around 13 seconds down on Gerda, but that 17:07 opening 5 kilometer split, a very, very fast running by Gerdestein, and perhaps Yvette for now I was just saying it's a little bit too fast. I know how to run this race. I ran 3:29 here last year, and I know she's had a great build-up, and she actually said last week that this is the best she's felt coming into a Total Sports Two Oceans marathon.
And it's been some time since she's run back-to-back races, has been felled on a few occasions by injury. So Yvette van Zyl running back-to-back in 2024 and 2025 is a good sign about her sometimes fragile body. She's strong and fit and able behind them, but coming up. There's the man there from RCS Goods.
Sibusiso Madikizela, local athlete here, formerly from KZN, and I think this may be his ultramarathon debut at the Total Sports Two Oceans Marathon. He has previously run the Nedbank Runified 50 kilometer, but talented athlete indeed.
So Madikizela running here with the leading women, and there they are, Gerdestein, Shelmuth Maruki and Ms. Heret are here for the Total Sports Two Oceans Marathon. And this time of the day, it's an early morning, they're still watching each other. And I think the telling sign here, when you see an athlete starting to tie, is this early in the race, you want to look at the facial expression. Are they relaxed? For example, you can see Joseph Maniedi there just on the right. He was smiling and looking across. And of course, he's a Comrades Marathon gold medal. He smiles again. So he's well within his comfort zone. Maruki's looking a little bit more focused. So I think that this is now starting to test, certainly Maruki just a little bit. Gerda always has the concentration face on in the first half of the race, and then starts to smile when she gets to the crowds. But for now, it's still quite early, and many of these men are capable. A few of them are running a little bit faster, but these three women, Gerda looking comfortable, Maruki running a little bit hard. Ms. Heret is also looking quite good. Every now and then she glances at Gerda to her right, so clearly she's been told that that's the woman you must watch. running her debut here is Meseret for the Nedbank Running Club.
And there she is, probably the shortest athlete in that pack, Meseret Mengistu Biru, the colours of Nedbank Running Club. Former Soweto Marathon course record holder, and actually the year that she won the Soweto Marathon and broke the course record, part of her prize that year was a trip to the Paris Marathon the following year. Not only did she compete in it, but she won the Paris Marathon, and that opened up Meseret's international running career. 2:23 marathon, a top 8 finisher at the World Half Marathon Championships, and she's been out of action for a few years, but nice to see her back. And Meseret knows how to run, and she knows how to run well.
The question will be, what kind of form is Meseret Biru in? Certainly, judging by the start, she is in good shape. Shamit Miriki, we've seen her competing time and again in South Africa, over 50 kilometers. And she loves the tough courses. She runs well over tough courses, does Shamit Miriki. In the second half of the race, when the hills come, she'll be there alongside Gerda Steen. We saw her in the very, very tough city-to-city marathon, placing in the podium last year. But this woman here, Gerda Steen, is in a class of her own and surely can have no competition whatsoever today. But this is a race, and a race is a race. And yesterday, during the pre-race press conference, Nobukosi Chuma asked about what happens when you are running in an era when you are all women running against Gerda Steen. Are you running for second place? She said, no, absolutely not. We all believe that we can win, and you need that belief if you are going to challenge the smiling assassin.
It was quite a difficult era to be allowed in the Gerda Steen era, as if you remember 3 years back, Yvette van Zyl ran the race of her life, broke Frith van der Merwe's long-standing 1989 course record, but unfortunately for her on the day, Gerda passed her 3Ks from the finish. So brilliant running from both of these ladies, and Gerda, the smiling assassin, always got that smile on her face, waving to the crowds. But don't be fooled, this pace is fast and furious.
And she looks a little bit more businesslike today, Gerda Steen, just a little bit more. You sense as she now starts to chat, so that gives you an idea that she's quite comfortable. A little bit of a chat there. They are still very, very comfortable, and there is still a lot more in that tank left. And this is the story of the 54th edition of the Total Sports Two Oceans Marathon this morning. The chasing men are chasing that man, Kulitsa and Gumbini. It's a big pack. We've told you about Gerda Steen, Shamit Miruki, and Meseret Biru. They are the leading men. Dwaga, Nkoskona Mhlakwana, Stephen Mokoka, Charles Gianne. It's a purple party in the women and the men's race. Will it end like this? It started well for the Hollywood Athletics Club.
A very good start there for the Hollywood Athletics Club, and you can almost see that Mokoka there in that chasing bunch. He's talking a lot with Nhlakwana on his route, and I think they're saying, guys, should we go? Should we stay? You know, this is a very, very slow pace for someone like Stephen Mokoka, who's got that 2:06 marathon in his legs, not even 2 years ago. So the man is in the form of his life. But up front, it is Kolisa Ndlombini, who went through the 14-kilometer split in 45 minutes and 45 seconds for a projected tempo of 3 hours, 3 minutes and 00 seconds. So Ndlombini running a course record pace, the chase bunch not so much, but guys like Mokoka, Nkosikona Mhlakwana, Gitmo Mutzinkanyama, they've got a lot of speed in those legs, and this pace right now is fairly pedestrian for those guys.
And this is how you want to do it if you're a 2:06 marathoner. We've seen this story play out before. We've seen Hendrik Ramala coming in as a 2:06 man, running 2 oceans, and running hard over the first half of the race. The first inviting part of the course, so beautifully described by Bruce Fordyce. This is the flat section here as we head out towards Fishhook, and it calls you forward. And if you've got good flat speed, this is where you want to make them pay over the first 21 kilometers. What it does mean though is that you are going to suffer. So mentally you must be prepared to suffer over the last 14 kilometers. That's what Ramala did. He was caught by Lebenyankoka. Only Lebenyankoka could catch him because they had to run hard to chase him. And perhaps those are the thought processes going through Steve Mukoka's mind, and he would do well to take Nkoskola Mhlakwana with him, because Mhlakwana now has very good speed. He ran a sub-29 10-kilometer PB at the Hollywood Pets Durban 10K last year, so we could see a very, very fast first 21 kilometers. There are the contenders.
For a gap of 1 minute 17 does Kolisa Ndlombini have, and the chasing pack at a projected tempo finish of 3 hours and 8 minutes. So very accurate to what they said in the press conference yesterday, but the likes of Bongwisa Mthembu, Charles Jane, who we have mentioned, Bonginkosi Mavuso, Ruben Mosiane from the Happy Bunch, the Nedbank Running Club up there in Rustenburg, a future star, is quoted by Dave Adams. Mohau Musonyane in the 9th, and the danger man there in 10th, Daba Ifa Debele, running his ultra-marathon debut. This is a former Soweto marathon winner, and he could be dangerous on the streets of Cape Town today.
Definitely watch Debele there, watch Zugile Velem, also having a good run, the man from the Black Diamond Athletics Club. Let's see how far he can get, how deep he can go with these lead men, because over the standard marathon he's performed well at the Sanlam Cape Town Marathon in years gone by. Lindelan Mdwacha, the Jaguar. This is him now leading this race out, and Mdwacha is one of those who was discovered in the Bulwa area, a man who comes from the same area as Bomusa Mthembu, and Bomusa has his annual training run in December. This man just came out as a youngster, ran with all these big guys, and they were impressed with the juniors' performance, and since then he's come on in leaps and bounds, now coached by Prodigal Kumalo, I think, and running very well is Lindelani Mdwacha, who has said he has made no secret of the fact that he is aiming for a gold medal on debut here this year is Mdwacha. Mpele is there as well, there just at the back. He's also a man who runs well in Cape Town, a former winner of the Peninsula Marathon. So he loves these Cape conditions. That one a little bit more flat than the race we're running here today. So there are lots of able men, and the question is, when will they really start to drive forward with intention?
Well, Lindelani can see that that pace is a little bit too slow right now, and he's joined by the Nedbank Running Club athlete Prosper Mtwira from Zimbabwe himself, a very strong pedigreed ultra runner, and he's looking back there as they get one of their personal seconding bottles on the side there. Kosi Kono Mhlakwana getting that drink, but a very interesting big bunch that has formed. You can see slowly again a little bit of a separation. You mentioned Stembiso Nkele in the colours of Nedbank, now a resident of KZN and coached by Mtandeni Nene. But the man that's just out of the picture now with the red cap on, Jobo Akwatwane, the winner of last year's Mpumalanga Marathon, and on debut here in Two Ocean today, he could be someone who is going to be a force to be reckoned with. But at this stage, this is Kolisa Ndlombini, your leader, and he's got a gap of just over 1 minute 20 right now, but still very early on.
So very early on as we approach the first hour for 3 hours of running. Gets through to the refreshment station. And Gerda staying still in this bunch. I guess you could say she's third, but for the first time, what's I think important is that someone else has gone to the front, and this is Shelmik Mirwiki, who's gone up there to the front, and Ms. Heret Biru also there. So the three of them, but you can see they're slightly uncomfortable leading because Mirwiki has moved to the side and glanced across at Gerda as if to say, "Come now, this is your race. Get to the front so we can run behind you and sprint past you on the grass." And it happens. Gerda moves forward here. This is the 54th edition of the Total Sports Two Oceans Marathon, coming to you live on the World of Champions. Stay with us for more action after this.
You run for something bigger than ourselves. Run your why. Why do we run? We run for the challenge. We run for something bigger than ourselves. We run for the silence, for the noise. for the journey. No matter why you run, just run. Run your why.
Heart rate 163.
You're almost 160.
Close. Okay, I'll make a drink for you.
I'm sticking with you, 'cause I'm made out of glue.
T20 Cricket's greatest contest. Qatar Indian Premier League. Live on Supersport.
Change the game. You see that golf cart over there? I can actually hit that. You wanna bet?
It's a beautiful day out there. The wind's likely behind the kick.
Still got it.
Track is on. Always off like a racehorse. Oh, okay, down to one. Asian fit. All the action comes alive with in-play betting. A corner with a chip and chase. Andre brings it down. Well, I'm down, I'm down, I'm on. Hollywood bets. Be in the game. No matter why you run.
Too many ads.
Just run. Run your why.
Well, back with the live action of the 54th running of the Total Sports Two Oceans Marathon, and this is your race leader, Kolisa Ndlombini, running through Muizenberg, and he will not be able to see that beautiful ocean on his left, but for some of the back runners out at the back they will. But let's find out a little bit more about this beautiful little village.
Muizenberg is one of South Africa's most iconic destinations. Its long beach stretches all the way around the top of False Bay to the Strand, a distance of over 20 kilometers. There's lots to do, but Muizenberg is really a mecca for surfers, with surf shops dotted all over the town. But watch out, because the waters of False Bay are world famous for the animal that Steven Spielberg immortalized in Jaws, the great white shark. Colorfully painted beach huts have been here in one form or another for almost a century, and one famous person who used them was the crime writer Agatha Christie. She wrote that after nursing duty, she'd daily take the train to Muizenberg to go surfing. That meant that Agatha was amongst the throngs who disembarked at one of the town's most glorious buildings, Muizenberg Railway Station. This Edwardian icon is a grand reminder of the days when steam power was king, and you could get on a train at Park Station in Johannesburg and travel all the way to the Cape Coast in the late 1800s. Muizenberg was the trendiest holiday resort of Southern Africa, a spin-off of the arrival of the railway in 1883. It was dubbed the Brighton of South Africa, and as Muizenberg's popularity grew, the need for a station epitomizing the town's significance arose. The new double-story building was designed by architect J.C. Tully, a pupil of Sir Herbert Baker, and the station was opened in 1913. The Edwardian-era red brick, combined with its arched sandstone entrances and beautiful teak clock tower, has charmed visitors ever since. Much of its material is local. The paving and stairs are quarry flagstone from Alties Peak in Fishhook, and the dressed sandstone is from Kalk Bay. But it is the high wooden ceilings that are its most beautiful feature. The train journey from Cape Town to Simonstown, known as the Southern Line, is worth the trip for the awesome views of the ocean as it snakes along the coast from Muizenberg all the way to Simonstown.
They are going through the darkened streets of Muizenberg at the moment in the Total Sports Two Oceans Marathon, closing in on the first hour of racing. And Kolisa Ndlombini is still going full steam ahead on his own here, Bruce Fordyce.
Yes, and earlier we saw he was running record pace, which is, I think, foolhardy. You're a veteran, you're 40, and you're chasing Thompson Magawana from 1988. And I think he's going to be caught.
Well, yeah, there's a little bit of a break-up now. We've got two runners in the chase now. Lindelani and Jarwa is one of them. He is a young man making his debut here and learning all about the highs and lows and the tough nature of this event, but at the moment enjoying it with their beautiful light rising behind him. And the big bunch behind, he's got one runner about 10 meters behind him, and then the big bunch in the darkness behind is the bunch containing the major contenders.
Yeah, it's early days, but I would say that probably our contenders are going to come from that main bunch. The main bunch is running wisely, they're watching each other, they're running a sensible pace, and they're letting the three leaders ahead of them just go. They'll haul them in later on.
Yeah, I mean, this is a race that takes so many years to learn to run at the right pace. Well, Steyn is in this three-woman lead pack at the moment. Shelda Beruhi is just behind her. Meseret Beru as well. This is our leading women's race, and well, Gerda running her own race as she always does, and attaching themselves to her pace are these men, and then those two women who are, well, they're running. They're sticking to the favourite. Can't fault that.
I think they're letting Gerda do the thinking. You know, they're running, saying, okay, I'm not going to go past the 5-time champion. I'm not going to try and go past her. I'll just stay with her and let her do the thinking, let her do the strategizing, and let her set the pace.
Well, the runners coming through Muizenberg towards St James and Cork Bay, and they'll be running past the Rhodes Cottage tea room as well very shortly.
Oh, come
Cecil
on.
John Rhodes was an industrialist, imperialist, mining magnate, politician, and it shouldn't be forgotten, one of the greatest ever philanthropists. Part of his fortune was donated to education in the forms of scholarships for potentially gifted students. The Rhodes Scholarship still exists today. In 1899, Rhodes bought a section of property overlooking False Bay along the main road in Muizenberg, which included a cottage and site now known as the Rhodes Cottage Museum. And this small seaside dwelling is where Rhodes spent his last days. His health at this stage of his life was not good. He wanted to live near the sea and enjoy the fresh breezes from the south. The existing cottage on the site consisted of 3 large bedrooms and a living room quite suitable for his bachelor lifestyle. Rhodes was a man of simple tastes, and the furniture in the cottage was plain and sparse. Rhodes died here of tuberculosis, aged just 49, on the 26th of March 1902. He is buried at the site he himself chose in the Matapos Hills of Zimbabwe. Upon his death, he was one of the wealthiest men in the world. The cottage site was donated to the city of Cape Town in 1937 on condition that the land and the building be regarded and kept as a memorial to Rhodes, and that the land and buildings be preserved by the city. In 1938, it was declared a national monument in the Government Gazette because of its historical significance. The Rhodes Cottage Museum was opened by the Mayor of Cape Town on the 4th of July 1953. The adjoining tea garden has great views over False Bay and a largely indigenous mountainside garden reflective of the man's bilateral ties, English country and Cape Fynbos. The cottage houses photographs, press clippings, and items of furniture associated with Rhodes, including the long conference table, which was in the boardroom at De Beers, and the wooden kist in which he brought all his worldly possessions when he landed in South Africa.
Well, these runners certainly won't be stopping for a cup of tea, that's for sure, Bruce.
No, they won't be, but if they look to their right, they will see the sun starting to rise over the mountains that they're going to be running later on. And I go on ad nauseum about it, but this is a race of two halves. It's a Jekyll and Hyde race. And this is the Dr. Jekyll section, fast, flat, seductive, tempting to go too quickly, and then the second half is the Mr. Hyde part of the race, tough, grueling, killing.
So looking at that women's leaderboard through 14 kilometers, three of the major contenders are clear by 45 seconds over Neneng Katala, who is a serious contender as well. And Didi Majara too. From Lesotho, a veteran sail, 1 minute and 5 down, running very much her own race, importantly so. Carla Molinaro is there as well, 3:46 down. But that's very sensible.
I think that's canny running. I think she's being cunning. We know the pace was very quick in the beginning. And Vets is saying, perhaps there's not a record today. Let's look at trying to win this thing. And I like the fact that she's a minute behind. That's well in contention. You can still see the pack ahead of you. You know Head is in it. And if she stays there, that's good. I think wise running.
What about Meseret Biru and Shelmet Maruki running at Gerda's pace here?
Yes, letting her do the thinking. You know, Kenya and Ethiopia, we may not often have heard of some of the runners who come out there, but we have heard of Kenya and Ethiopia. And we know that they come with fantastic pedigree.
This is Lubini leading the men's race and leading it by a considerable margin at the moment.
Enjoying it in front there, but he is going to be caught. And I always wonder, why would you do that? Why don't you run a little bit slower and run with the pack, and then later on possibly earn yourself a place in the top 10? When you run like this, you're not going to get yourself a place in the top 50. Because you're going to get caught, and you're going to be swallowed up and then spat out the back of the lead pack, and then you've got to struggle on your own. I would much prefer the runners to be together in one group.
Lubini is known to do this sort of thing, and you've seen many runners do this in races you've run and been part of, and you talk and say, well, why are they doing this? Why?
It's a rush of blood to the head quite often. But of course, you know, we've been talking about the record holder, Thompson Magawana, back in 1988. I ran that race. Thompson took off from the gun. Nobody ever saw him again. You know, he was just over 30 minutes going through 10 Ks. He was sub 1.5 hours going through halfway. So we were looking at a sub 3 hour to Oceans. He slowed a little bit, went through the marathon in 2:15. I remember getting reports from my seconds. You know, Thompson's gone. But it was a faster course. It was an easier course in those days. It finished in Brookside. It was a downhill sweep to the finish. Men's marathon is really hard. The men's record is really hard to get in this race now with the finish at UCT.
Yeah, 3:03 is quite unbelievable. He's the only one to have gone under 3:04. It is so long ago. So yeah, unlikely.
Yes, sadly, the late Thompson had won it, but I mean, the year before he ran 3:05 with the same tactics. It's just, if you spoke to me and I was a contender and you said, Bruce, you can win the Total Sports 2 Oceans today, but it will be a very slow time. Or you can break the record that comes second. I'll take the win in a slow time.
Only 44 men have done that over the 54 years here, so it's a rare thing. Mark Amamba was the last double, or Linda Laniamjara stopping there briefly to take hydration.
Yes, from one of his personal seconds, I think you are allowed to be seconded, but it's a stand and hand rule. They can't run with you, they can't follow you in the vehicle. They can stand and hand you a drink, and then usually they scream information to you about what's going on. But along the route, there are also seconding tables for elite runners. They were asked to drop off their special bottles yesterday, and that those would be put out at special tables along the route for them. I think 5 or 6 along the route. I would prefer to do that, though of course the one thing that every runner wants desperately of the contenders is information. What's happening? Who's ahead of me? Who's behind me? How am I doing? And so you can get that from your seconds. They can shout information, or if they're really cunning, they can stick a little sticker on the bottle that tells you what's going on.
Well, Lindlani Mjara is certainly enjoying himself and feeling good, because that smile on his face there suggests that he's feeling very, very comfortable. And This is the leading women's pack. 3 runners here. Gerda Steyn, the preeminent runner in this field. They've just gone through Cork Bay Harbour. Let's find out a little bit more about this beautiful part of Cape Town.
For many years, Kalk Bay was just another fishing village on the east side of False Bay. But these days, it is a world-famous tourist destination, with Forbes magazine naming it amongst the 12 coolest neighborhoods around the world in July 2018. Kalk Bay Harbour is a bustling landmark with a rich and varied history. Its famous red and white striped lighthouse is the perfect spot for sunset photo ops or relaxed evening ambles. In winter, you'll understand how the tip of Africa was called the Cape of Storms, as large waves come hurtling into the bay, crashing against the jetty and lighthouse. In the early to mid-19th century, whales were hunted almost to extinction here. But today, Kalk Bay is the place to watch the majestic southern rights as they migrate through False Bay on their way to calving areas further up the coast. The whales are welcome visitors to the area, but the year-round residents are the Cape Fur seals. For thousands of years, the indigenous people had the area to themselves, and middens used for shelter can still be found under cliff overhangs. The name comes from the early Dutch settlers who boiled up mussel shells to make kalk, lime in English. Today, coffee is more popular than lime, and there are quaint cafes and restaurants all over the village. If antique bric-a-brac is your thing, seek out the Kalk Bay Trading Post. It occupies the site of the old post office, and you can still see the rusty green post boxes in the entranceway. Whether you're tracking down an old comic book, a unique vintage sign, or just passing the day away, this red brick building may hold just what you're looking for. Kalk Bay boasts an eclectic mix of historic buildings, cobbled streets, bohemian shops, art and antique galleries. It really is a wonderful spot to enjoy the sunset or plan a day in the mountains or by the sea, exploring an area so stunningly rich with history.
Beautiful, isn't it? Cork Bay, the runners here will be just getting a look at it in this beautiful morning light as it brightens up and the sun rises over the Holland on the runners left. They head through Trevally now as we're with Gerda Steyn. Charlotte Baruki is still there on her right, just behind her right shoulder. Meseret Biru, we are looking for the diminutive figure of Meseret Biru.
And there's Gerda pulling across to the left-hand side to get a drink from her husband Duncan.
This, I think, is Meseret Biru, so she may have dropped off that pace and that's the danger of running in that sort of company.
In the rarefied air of Gerda Steyn's company, it's very fast and it can destroy you. And you don't want to be struggling this early on in the race. You want to be running comfortably.
Maybe in this race, learning more about it. Look at the watch, very, very meticulous about the preparation and her strategy and the way she executes here.
Yes, it was wonderful to see the way she cut through the pack to get her drink from Duncan, her husband. She saw him, obviously, or it was a pre-organized spot that he'd be standing at. But she was just like somebody weaving their way through rush hour traffic. She put her arm out and she sort of indicated, I'm going left, I'm going left, I'm going left, don't trip me. Because that is the danger of running in a pack. When you get to the drinks tables, you can, trip, get tapped on the ankle, fall. So you have to be really careful. And luckily, she's running with a pack of runners who are very experienced. And there you are. That's the spirit of running. That's the spirit of marathon running. You've had your drink. Somebody missed their drink, hand it over and let him have a drink as well.
Well, this is beautiful to see, isn't it? The queen of the two oceans looking for a 6th win here. And perhaps another record. Well, that's down the road, but at the moment she's looking completely supreme and in control of this race.
I love the low arm carriage. The low arm carriage is the sign of somebody who's not breathing hard. As runners get tired and fatigue sets in, they tend to bring their arms up higher and higher towards their shoulders. Her arm carriage is right down low around her hips, and Gerda was looking great.
Gone through our top men at 21 kilometers, those top two, and then a fairly big bunch are gathering behind them of the major contenders, and many more who have eyes on the big prize. Tansaka Tembu there is the younger brother of Musa, the former winner here, of course, and the comrades winner in that bunch as well. So Machakwana is there as well, another man we've got to look out for, Zikili Velem as well, 135, and many more there behind those 10.
Yes, there's quite a few contenders, all within range. So at the moment, it's like a complicated game of chess. Just everybody, keeping their cards close to their chest, not letting anybody know what's going on. I suspect that they are approaching, or have just run Fishhook Circle. And Fishhook Circle is a significant landmark in the race because you swing right and you head towards Sun Valley. But more importantly, you run up the first significant rise. It's not a major hill. Normally you wouldn't even think about it. But it's just a little rise that says hello to your hamstrings. Remember us? You've got some big hills coming. And so Fishhook Circle is the first time when you think, how strong am I feeling? I always used to think Fishhook Circle is a major landmark. It gives you an idea of what kind of race you're going to have.
A glimpse of Charles Tijana, the 50 plus runner there. Beautiful view across False Bay, and the sun will be rising over those mountains of Helderberg and Hottentots Holland very shortly. So this is that big bunch at the front of the front of the chase pack, if you like, and biding their time and running their own race here, not trying to get too involved in anyone else's strategy and tactics here, but mindful of those runners around them who might well be contending for those places.
Yes, and I think that our top 10 finishers are going to come from this group that we're looking at now.
Well, they are about a minute and a half behind the leader at the moment, Kolisa and Gobini. And this is Njara, Lindelani Njara, and a youngster running up alongside him. And that's how you do it. Dodging the other spectators and stopping just short of the traffic official. He's done his bit, maybe he'll join the rest behind him. But this young man is loving his time at the moment. It is a debut for him. It is an opportunity to get the feel of the Total Sports Two Oceans Marathon. You do know that this is a race that you take time to learn to run, and you take time to get the feel of it, to eventually bring your experience and tactics to the fore. Now, 250,000 Rand first prize to our top men and women today. And it goes down to 10th place, 10,000 Rand. There's plenty at stake, but of course, to be able to say I won the Total Sports Two Oceans Marathon, glad to get the cash prize, absolutely. But as a champion, it really is a special thing. Tanith Maxwell joins me. Tanith, welcome. Lovely to have you in commentary. We had you at the front of the show giving your thoughts there, and now you're sitting watching this alongside us here. What are your thoughts thus far?
Yeah, well, it's great to be here and really exciting to be in the commentary and part of all of the excitement that's unfolding in front of us. Yeah, both men's and ladies' races are super exciting, and as the race unfolds, obviously things are going to change a little bit, but it's all looking super hot up front, and Gerda in the women's race is looking super comfortable and really focused on her race plan ahead of her.
Yeah, running around. Charlotte Mariki is tucked in there and has been looking very comfortable as well alongside Gerda.
Yes, both ladies are looking really good, and I think it's going to be all down to obviously the second half and who's stronger on the hill. It's going over Chapman's, and then the really bad one, which is Constantia Neck, where everyone suffers.
I mean, everyone is physically prepared and conditioned to produce their best on this day, but there's so much of it that goes around in the head here.
Absolutely, yeah. The mental side is really big, and you know, Gerda is just, you can just see she exudes confidence, and she's so positive, and you can see she's enjoying herself out there. So yeah, they'll both be fighting, and it'll be who wants the win more, and who's going to really go for it on the final stages.
And I think you ran your last when Gerda won her first, 2018?
Yes, 2018 was my last two Oceans, and I finished fourth there, and that was Gerda's first win. And since then, she's taken every single year, so it's phenomenal performances.
I mean, at that stage, yes, she was obviously one of the serious contenders, but little did we know that she'd be so dominant at that stage. I mean, what was the thinking amongst the field there as we have a look going through the half marathon at 1:15:10 with Shelma Maruki, and then Biru has lost quite a lot of time having run with those two initially, and Vet sailed 2:47 back. Is that a worry?
Yes, for a vet, I think it is a little bit of a worry. It's quite a big gap at this stage. I know she has had a shaky build-up to this Two Oceans marathon. She has been suffering with injuries and what have you, and you know, unfortunately, in a race as competitive as this, your build-up has to be so good and so smooth, and your training so consistent to be able to kind of be up there with Gerda Steyn and yeah, be there for the second half of this race.
Well, Shelma Maruki is the bold one here, running with Gerda Steyn, allowing Gerda on the front all the time, just sitting behind her. But yeah, the aura of Gerda Steyn in 2018 wasn't there at that stage. Is it anything like it is now?
No, absolutely not. Yeah, the name Gerda is just synonymous with distance running in this country, and she's done so much for women's running. So to be able to be in the company with her, coming through this, you know, through towards halfway, is fantastic. And she's obviously just keeping the pressure on Gerda Steyn, and Gerda will know she's right there. So it's great that it'll be able to develop into a really good competitive race between the two of them.
Look at Shelma Maruki has in fact, I think, just started to I'm just looking behind her. Yeah, I think she's dropped off this group, hasn't she?
Yeah, she looks like she has dropped off a bit. Yeah,
there is
a gap developing
there.
there.
Just a little bit of a gap there. The consistency of Gerda is quite phenomenal, isn't it, the pacing?
Yes, she just keeps it consistent. She doesn't get rattled by anything, and she's just sticking to her plan, running even splits, and yeah, she's pulling away. It's actually, the gap is actually opening up really quickly, and yes, she's moving on ahead into the lead.
Well, Maruki doesn't want to panic here. She is feeling a little bit of pressure at the moment, just to ease off and pace it back. If you look back at the predicted finish time, the record of 3:26.54, that is of course Gerda from a year ago, 3:19.44. That is territory that no one else has done before, and Shelma Maruki will do well just to bide her time here.
That is absolutely phenomenal running. I mean, a 3:19, that's almost 8 minutes off the current course record. So yeah, Gerda really means business out there, and yeah, she's obviously got a game plan, and she's running an incredible race so far. I mean, obviously there's still lots to come. It's still early on, and things could change, but she looks so super confident and comfortable at the moment.
Yeah, of course, Chapman's Peak and then Constantia Neck are the two major climbs that have to be conquered, and that is still ahead for Gerda Steyn. So although that pace of 3:19 looks impressive now, that it's very likely to change as this race unfolds. So on our map down below, you can just get an idea of the gaps. So that's Gumbini, our leader, then Andrada is the chaser, and that looks as though it's closing, and then the big bunch just chasing and keeping a very, very steady tempo behind, and no rush at all. They all know each other well. They know in amongst them that these are the heads of state. From here we're going to produce a winner.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see they'll all be kind of watching each other, and very aware of who's around them, and waiting for someone to make a move.
Nutrition, just talk us through the hydration and nutrition strategy going through a race like this.
Yeah, obviously nutrition and getting your hydration in is so important, especially in these ultra distance races. And something I had to learn as an athlete is your drink is not only about getting hydrated, it's getting the correct amount of carbs in at each station so that you can keep going and you don't hit that wall that all distance runners know about. So yeah, getting your drinks in is vital, and yeah, they'll all have their own special drinks that they have been training with and that they're used to, and yeah, they obviously won't be changing anything at this stage because you just don't want any stomach reactions on race day. So that's really important.
This is our third bunch, as you can see with our biker. There's the order station, the race one, all the snatch and run.
Yes, yeah, just grabbing water and what have you. It'll obviously, they're already almost 1.5 hours into the race now, so they've got to watch that and get hydrated and what have you. So yeah, just grabbing for water there. And
Bella Pugnani there in the red cap. Charles Tijana here has been right at the sharp end of this race and this bunch for the entire race. I dare say veteran, he's more than that, but he's certainly very much at home in this bunch here.
Yeah, it's phenomenal to see a 50 plus running right up there and kind of dictating the pace there. It just shows how the veterans are becoming more and more competitive as the years go by, and it's quite common now to see, even in marathon races around the world, 40, 42-year-olds right up there competitive on the senior fields.
Never lose that competitive edge. You never lose that drive to do your very best.
Absolutely, yeah. You've always got that hunger to win, and I think once you've been an elite athlete, you're always competitive, always.
Well, it's a battle of wits here, a war of attrition, if you like, as it unfolds slowly but surely. They all know that the key moments are up the road, and not to expend too much energy. This is Police and Rumbini, who is our sole leader at the moment, over 1.5 minutes clear. When last we checked, in fact, no, only 41 seconds, so the gap has come down to Lindelani Njara at 21 kilometers, but he has been out on his own since around about 6 kilometers, and very, very steady, but knowing that this race is going to take on a very, very different complexion as they go through Noordhoek and then head up Chapman's Peak on what is turning out now to be a glorious morning, with the prospect of perhaps some high temperatures later on in the morning that perhaps won't have such a marked impact on this end of the field. It certainly will have an impact on those further back in this 15,000 meter field.
Yes, absolutely. These front runners will get away with it fine, but it's those runners over the 5-6 hour mark that will certainly suffer in the closing stages as the temperatures increase. At this stage, yeah, it's a beautiful morning out there, and you can see no wind. There's no wind in the trees or leaves moving there, so it's really spectacular morning to be running the Two Oceans Marathon.
Did she feed?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. When you're watching this, like, yeah, I've never been on the commentary side, so it's certainly something different, but I would always, as a runner, I'd always love to be out there.
Yeah,